Now this video is going to have no editing whatsoever. Might add some music in Adobe Premiere really quick before I head out the door. I got to go to the Coast Guard Center. But let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres. They got shellacked last night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. 9-4 was not pretty. Not pretty at all. And this is just not to take anything away from the Blue Jackets. They played a very, very good game, and I like a lot of the young pieces. Marchenko had a hat trick. Fantilli scored. In my personal opinion, the future is very bright with the Blue Jackets, and the future should be bright with the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Dylan Cousins, the guy that you're paying over $7 million, he has not had a great year. He's not living up to that production. Tage Thompson, while he was dinged up for a bit, hasn't played a full season. He missed some time. His production isn't where you'd like it to be if you're a Sabres fan. And listen, on paper, the Sabres should be a wild card team. They really should. They have a ton of talent. You got Skinner, you have Cousins, you have Tage Thompson, you have Alex Tuck, you have Middlestat. You have some really good pieces and a young rookie in Zach Benson. I mean, the future is still very bright for the Sabres in my personal opinion. On the back end, you got Dahlin, Samuelson, Yoki Haru, I think, is done pretty solid. You got Owen Power, the young guy that you definitely, if you're a Sabres fan, you're thinking very highly that he should be at least a number 2, number 1 type defenseman. It's baffling with the Sabres because they have very good talent on paper. They just can't execute. And some people might blame the goaltending. Every single goaltender has a sub 900 save percentage. UPL has the best statistics out of the bunch. It's UPL, Levi, Comrie. Now, Comrie's been a travesty. I've done a little bit of a breakdown of Comrie. Some of the goals he lets in is great. And I'm not saying there isn't some fault on the goaltender. Some of the goals that go in, you're like, maybe could have had. But a lot of it's due to the team in front of him. And it made me want to talk about, should the Sabres, because are they going to blow it up? Or what are they going to do? They're going to have a reset? And for me, I'm going to just make it a very, very short answer. No, shouldn't be a rebuild, but it should be a reset. Now, you brought in guys like Connor Clifton this offseason, who, were playing on a very good Boston team. But you get to see the great parts of Connor Clifton's game, and then you get to see the bad parts where it's like, what are you doing? And to me, what I think would benefit the Sabres is bringing in a guy or two, whether it be a trade or a free agent signing in the offseason, that has won elsewhere, still a productive player, and can help change that culture. Because what this Sabres team kind of reminds me of is the pre-McDavid years of the Oilers, even the first couple seasons, if I remember correctly, with the Oilers. Don't quote me on that. I know the first season they weren't great because he got hurt. But I think it was like a couple seasons even after that. They just weren't really a playoff team. I don't think this team knows how to win. Like, the Oilers drafted a lot of talent. They had Taylor Hall, Nugent Hopkins, and they had some busts like, Yakupov. That's a historic bust. But they still drafted a lot of high-end talent in those years when they were just kept drafting in the top 3. There was a lot of talent in the Oilers, and regardless of how much talent they had on paper, they just didn't know how to win at the NHL level. And it's not to the same extent for the Sabres, I guess, in that regard, but I think it's somewhat similar. I just don't think they know how to win at the NHL level, and maybe bringing in a veteran or two could help them. I think that's why Foligno, the Blackhawks went after him, bringing in a veteran presence that has won. And you could argue, well, Clifton was supposed to be that guy, but I mean, not trying to be disrespectful to Clifton. Clifton is a very good player when he's on, but he's a very kind of suspect defenseman when he's playing off his game. So if you could bring a very calming presence, doesn't have to be an all-star, superstar type player, just a very solid middle 6 forward, or a very solid kind of a kind of like maybe a second pairing, third pairing defenseman could benefit. Just having an experienced leader in that room that has been there and done that could definitely do them a lot of favors. That's just my personal opinion. Because when I'm looking on the paper and I'm reading all these names, I'm seeing all the talent, I'm seeing all the ability of these players, they just shouldn't be this bad. And as for the goaltending, UPL's done okay considering. I think he's definitely earned his spot at the NHL level. I know they've kind of, because they think he's waiver wire exempt, they've sent him up and down just due to the situation with the goalies. They have 3. But, UPL and Levi should be fine. I think Levi's going to be fine too. Not many Sabre fans. I see some people complain about Levi, and I'm not saying he's played fantastic, but I think a lot of it's just the team in front of him. I mean, he came over from Northeastern. He was playing Hockey East last year at this time. Joined your team late in the season and did phenomenal. He's a young goaltender. He's going to need a little bit of time to like learn and grow. But yeah, things aren't great there in Saberland, and it's unfortunate because they have a very passionate fan base. I'm hoping that they can start living up to the potential, because I know a lot of Buffalo fans are just kind of on their last rope with this team. They just want to blow it up altogether, and I don't think they need to blow it up. I think they just need to do kind of like a reset. Maybe get rid of a couple guys, bring a couple guys in that like just have a different presence in the room. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of change to completely turn a hockey team around. I'd like to know your thoughts down below. Do you think the Buffalo Sabres should rebuild? If so, what would be the process? And if not, what would be your plan to get the Sabres back on a winning track, a playoff track? So I'm Captain Paul. I got to head out of here. I'll see you in the next one.